Hi, this is Rabbi Tzvi Mandel on a Thursday, the 11th of Iyar. As we mentioned, it's Ibn Naftali Rapsh. It's Yotzai Tzchusi Yogan Leinu Yisrael Amen. 26th of Omer. 26 is Hashem Havaya, Hashem's love for us. Havaya is the name of mercy and love, and Hashem loves every single one of us in a way that's eternal, and for everything that we need, both begashmis, physically and spiritually, emotionally, everything that a yid needs is known to Hashem, and Hashem wants to do the best for us. Just want to add something to what we spoke about in this Rabbi Tzvi Mandel Congregation Community of Jewish Friends, Kalpnei Yisrael, and Bar Zelos. I do want to mention about, we are studying the ethics of our ancestors, and the last YouTube that we mentioned, that we were studying, okay. We studied the third chapter, first Mishnah, and in that Mishnah it says one should be aware of, in front of who he's going to give a reckoning, he's going to have to answer for. We said the Melech Malchim, Melech HaKadosh Baruch Hu, King of all kings, the Holy One, blessed be Him. We mentioned that Melech Malchim, Melechim, King of kings, refers to Malchus. Malchus is this world, the lowest of all the 7 or 10 levels, that Hashem is right here with us in every situation possible. On the other hand, the Kadosh Baruch Hu, beyond. Kaddish means beyond. Jewish people are more Kaddish than the rest of the world, more holy, more beyond the rest than the rest of the human race. Shabbos is more Kodesh, more holy also than the other 6 days. Yom Kippur is the most holy. Therefore Hashem, who is the holy source of all holiness, way beyond everything and anything, so that Hashem being in this world with us in every situation, and wherever we are, and whatever it is, physically, emotionally, whatever it might be, and for sure spiritually, He connects us from this world to the highest, and He could help us and do good for us, and has mercy on us. Okay, we'll go to the next Mishnah, the second Mishnah in the third chapter. Rabbi Chanina Sgan HaKohanim says, one should pray for the peace of the government, of the kingdom, literally, because if there would not be fear of the government, a man will eat his friend up alive. Literally it says he will swallow him alive. And so who was this Rabbi Chanina Sgan HaKohanim? So Rabbi Chanina Sgan HaKohanim lived at the end of the temple, when the temple was being destroyed. He was also from the 10 martyrs, Asara Harugei Malchus, and he's teaching us how important it is to pray for the government. So in Teres Abbas, the great Manistritcher, one of the greatest Chassidish Rebbes of these generations, of the past generations, he says as follows. He says that the Meirah Malchus, fear of the government, teaches us, as the Talmud says in Brachos 28, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai told his students that I wish that you would fear Hashem like you fear another human being. It sounds like he was belittling them, but actually he was saying to them that in some ways we have to be very practical and realize that fear of Hashem is not just a fantasy or philosophy. I love Hashem, I fear Hashem, but rather one looks at himself and sees things that he or she might do when no one is looking, or not do when another person is looking, and the strongest other person that there is the government, because the government could punish a person or tax a person, put him in jail for years. So rather than thinking of it as that we're such simple or lowly people, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was not saying that to his students, that's for sure. These were great, great people, so beyond us that if we would live another 10,000 years, we wouldn't come to their level on a regular weekday. But rather, perhaps it could be understood with the story with the Hilkah Baal Tanya that's brought down by Beis Rebbe. It's mentioned here by Lubavitcher Rebbe, Biurim L'Pirkei Avos. It's an unbelievable thing that the Sultan came to visit the Baal Tanya when he was in jail in simple civilian clothes. He thought he'd fool him. But as soon as he walked in, the Baal Tanya gave him honor and respect like for a king. And he said about himself that his insides were trembling. What's the reason? Why? The reason was because the only strength that kings and people that are appointed to positions in this world have is their Sal Lamaila, their angel, their government official up in heaven, their spiritual strength. And Malchus the Yara is Kain Malchus the Rikia. This world runs somewhat like the higher worlds, meaning that it's connected in a certain way to the higher worlds, and therefore when he saw this person, he knew right away that this is the king who's so connected to the higher worlds. And of course he first searched within himself and did tshuva and repented and became better, and that way he respected Hashem by respecting the government. What does this all mean to us in a real way? What it means is that even this worldly things, first of all, of course, we have to adhere to the government, and we have to pray for the government, and we have to do things that are legal and not do things that are illegal, especially in a setting that we are in the United States of America. But in any case, knowing that the government and people that are above us in the government, people that can force others to do things, it's only because of Hashem's strength. And as the 10 martyrs themselves said, we know that though the anti-Semitic government of Rome was the one that was killing them, but really it's from Hashem. End result is it's from Hashem. And it's an unbelievable thing, because there's a Tashbatz in his Chuvas in the beginning, one of the great commentaries, from the early commentaries, that says that when in every generation there were all kinds of Jew haters and anti-Semites, and God forbid if it comes to slaughtering the Jews like the 6 million in our days, the victim does not feel physical pain at the time. Unbelievable thing. Therefore, we don't find that the Kedoshim, we don't find the 10 martyrs, we don't find throughout generations that they were screaming and screeching and they were if we do find perhaps it was people that weren't on the level that they should have been, I'm not going to judge them, I'm not going to say either way, but it's definitely something higher. In Pittsburgh, there was a great Rebbe, the Pittsburgh Rebbe, Rabbi Leifer. His yahrzeit was about a month ago. I know his great-grandson, a good friend of mine. And when he came to these shores, he was a very sweet, warm person, had unbelievable davenings. The prayers in his shul were warm and sweet, and he loved every Jew and accepted and welcomed them. Those days in the 30s, a lot of people would come to shul just to see him and just to pray with him, even though they didn't know much. And of course, hopefully, he brought them closer to Hashem. And he had a little shul, a little tiny synagogue. So a rich person once came to shul and said, Rebbe, I would like to give you $1 million or whatever it was in those days. Let's build a bigger shul. There'll be a place for people to sit. It won't be so crowded. But if you allow me to give you this, if you allow me to give you this money, I'm giving it to you on one condition. That in the world that's coming, the Olam Haba, I will be right next to you in paradise, in the world to come. So the rabbi said to him, wait a minute. My good friend, give me 3 days. And after 3 days he came back to him and he said, keep your $1 million. I can't guarantee you something like what you asked me to do for you. That condition. Reason being, because people who were slaughtered for Hashem's name, the 6 million and the 10 martyrs, and then through all the dark ages, what they did to us, the worst pain that human beings ever went through. When they come to the next world, there's a place for them that nobody that didn't go through that could be even close to them. And not only the people themselves that were geschachten, that were slaughtered, but even their families. I lost a wife and children by Hitler, so there won't be any place for you, even if you give me $1 million. Anyway, there was something very interesting over here by Rav Kook. Rav Kook's Chamdacha says something interesting. The 3rd chapter, the 2nd Mishnah. Talmud says in Shabbos 33, coming to like by my next week 33. The Talmud says the story about what led up to the story of Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. There was a story. There were 3 Gedolei Adar, 3 great rabbis of the generations: Reb Yehuda, Reb Yossi, and Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. And they were talking about the actions of the government of Rome. Reb Yehuda praised them and he said how nice are their actions. They build bridges, etc. Reb Yossi kept quiet. Reb Shimon spoke against the government. Now, he said everything that they do only for themselves. So the evil government of Rome, it was an evil government. Reb Shimon held, don't have to pray for their goodness. There's another Gemara, another passage from the Talmud on page 7b, where it says you're not allowed to awaken the hatred of the evil in this world. So how could Reb Shimon Bar Yochai say such thing about the government? Even though maybe one can say he thought they might not hear, but still. We know that Talmud says in Baba Basra Gimel that the birds of the heavens bring secrets out. If you don't have a reason to say something that might be negative, don't say it altogether. Don't say it altogether. So Rav Kook says something very beautiful. The Talmud in Brachas over there says 3 different levels of when one may awaken the bad spirit of the evil people, and when they may not. Either the difference is in worldly things or in spiritual things. If they're disturbing our spiritual things, then you may speak against them. If they're disturbing only our physical things, then don't disturb them. Don't awaken their hatred. Second answer is, when you see that the evil, it's going good for them, they're being successful in the doing bad, then don't start up with them. But if you see that they don't have any power, then you may speak against them. The third thing is that Tzaddik Gama, a very righteous person, he may speak against the evil. So it comes out very good like this. Rebbe Yehuda, who believed in the first level that things that have to do with this world, it's okay. So he spoke about things that they do in this world. And they were doing good things for the world. They were fixing bridges. Rabbi Yossi said, Rabbi Yossi was the one who kept quiet. So he understood that when it's good for the evil, when they're being successful, don't start up with them. Just pray to Hashem and don't start up with them. So he kept quiet. Reb Shimon Bar Yochai felt that he was on the level of a tzaddik gama. He was definitely this great righteous tzaddik, and therefore he was not afraid of them, and he openly rebelled against them. We'll go back to the actual text. The wording in the Mishnah is that one should daven for the Shlemish al Malchus, the peace in the kingdom, which doesn't only mean the king, it means all the different political people in the government. And if one is not afraid of them, then one will swallow his friend live. What's this language? Swallow his friend live. Also, right after this in the Mishnah, it says, Reb Chanina ben Teradian says that 2 people that are sitting, and the literal translation is, and there is not between them words of Torah. It's a moishiv leitzim, a sitting of jesters. People who are doing nothing but their lives is a pretty free definition of what that means. And he brings a verse in the beginning of Psalms, beginning of Tehillim, moishiv leitzim liyashiv. Moira'ah and Moishav both don't mean the simple interpretation. Moira'ah of the Malchus and Moishav of the Leitzim mean things that could bring to the peace in the government. Meaning as follows: one should pray for things in the government that should bring good fear and should hold back the evil from being evil and encourage the good to be good. Just like in the second part of the Mishnah, Reb Chanina ben Teradian says, 2 people that are sitting, and it doesn't say they're not studying Torah. It's not talking about studying Torah. It speaks about talking important things that would be for the good of Torah. was once in a place that a family was getting together that hadn't gotten together for maybe 25 years. You know, siblings, 3 or 5, getting together, middle-aged people, and it was very beautiful. And they were speaking about good old times and how things could be better, how could we help our children and grandchildren, and how could we help ourselves and become better people and better Jews. And someone who had recently married into that family said to me, in fact, say something, say some Torah, let's learn some Torah. And I said to myself, this is Torah. This is Torah. When 2 people sit and speak together about building their families, or just having pleasure from being together with family, this is Torah. This is the opposite of Moshe Leitzin. When one does not speak about things that build positive and good things and good attitudes, then that is a Moshe Leitzin. It's going to come to what jesters come to, meaning to things that could lead to bad things, or hurting other people, or hurting ourselves in a spiritual way. In the beginning of when we opened our shul, which was the shul all the years for Baal Teshuvos, people coming back to Judaism, and of course anyone that works today in the correct way, bringing people close to Yiddishkeit, you're going to come across a mixed marriage between a Jew and a non-Jew, because that's 60 or 75% of the Jews in the world today. So there was a couple that were having their first Yiddish Pesach, the way the halacha says, the way Yiddishkeit says. And let's say one spouse said, one was a convert, one was a Baal Teshuva, came back to Judaism, and one said to the other one, let's not go to your family because they are not such practicing Jews, and whatever it might be. And I had spoken about it to a great person, one of the greatest in our generation. And he said, what? Of course they have to go back to their family. It's not a problem. Anyway, this family does the Seder at the wrong time halachically. It's not even considered a Seder halachically. So they'll sit with them. They'll start 5 in the afternoon. They finish by 7 at night, which is not even Plag Mincha. They won't eat matzahs with them. They won't drink the wine with them. But they can have an apple, or a candy, or some cookies, whatever it might be. And then later, when everybody goes back home, sadly enough, they'll be driving back home probably, but there's not much you can do about it. Then they'll have their own Seder in their own room, whatever it might be, and they'll do Kahalacha, the 4 cups, but you have to do the readings of the Haggadah while you do the 4 cups, and they'll have their own kosher matzah, whatever has to be done. Because Jews are looking for having mispal b'shloim mishal malchus, that the kingdom, or whatever it might be, whether it's a case of a family getting together, whether it's a case of, should be in a peaceful way, and things that lead to peaceful. And it's not only learning or speaking and learning, but rather an attitude and an openness and a sweetness, understanding how much Hashem loves every one of His children, whatever they're doing or whatever they're not doing, because Hashem loves every one of us. Until we understand that, it's not called anything less than a Moshe Leitzin, or not bringing the Shalom Shal Malchus, Malchus Shemayim, the kingdom of Hashem. May Hashem help. We should practice what we preach, and be good-loving people and good-loving Jews to each other, no matter who we are, no matter what we practice and won't practice. In that way, we will bring the love of Hashem upon us, all of us, and the love back from us to Him. Have a good night.